Welcome back to the She Inspires podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jade, board certified family medicine physician, wellness and weight loss specialist, owner of the membership medical practice in Las Vegas, Inspire Primary Care. And I am excited for today's topic. We are talking about designing your dream life. Some tips on designing your dream life. I get asked a lot about the balance. We talk about that, like balancing business, marriage, medicine, all of that. But then when we talk about dream life, this looks different to each person because we all value different things. When we envision what we want our life to look like, have wanted our life to look like, or the other things we want to acquire in our life, that quote unquote dream life is different to each of us. So I wanted to share a few things. I have 6 today that have really helped me to develop and to continue developing what is my version of my dream life. And so I want to just ask you before we jump into these for you to really take a moment to envision, like, what does your dream life look like? What things do you really value that you either want to start doing, do more, continue doing, or eventually do? What do those look like? All right. What are the things you are called to do? Who are the people you are called to serve? Who are the people you are called to bless? What is your purpose for being here? Literally, what is the purpose of the time you have here? And so what things are the components of that dream life for you? So that's the first thing, right? Because then as we go into the other aspects, we'll be able to think about this design with your dream life in mind. But of course, I'll be sharing from my perspective, right? One thing I also want to talk about shortly before we jump into these is dream life does not mean perfect life, okay? And that's a big part of what I like to share and how I try to share authentically on my social medias is that although I'm living my version of my dream life, although I'm continuing to develop my version of my dream life, that does not mean it's a perfect life. That does not mean there are not hard days. That does not mean there aren't struggles to this journey, right? But it is indeed my version of a dream life. So let's jump into this. We want to make this realistic, but also we're looking big. We're dreaming big. We're looking at what is my wildest dream because we're called to it and we deserve to have it. So here's number one thing, starting with number one, that has really been helpful for me crafting and growing and developing my version of my dream life is gratitude. I've talked about this on the podcast. We've had a whole episode on gratitude lately, but really trying to have a lifestyle of thankfulness, a lifestyle of gratefulness, a lifestyle of thanking God and of spending time with God and with prayer. That's really important to me. And regardless of what your spiritual beliefs are, a spirit of gratitude, a spirit of thankfulness has really been an amazing part of designing my dream life because as the challenges come, which they will for all of us at some point, that spirit of gratitude has helped keep me grounded and keep me going. All right, number 2 aspect when it came and has come to designing my version of my dream life is my morning routine. And I have a whole episode on morning routine. I talk a lot about my morning routine being prayer and Peloton, and now I throw in gratitude, right? Something I have really loved is how I start my day really determines how the rest of my day will look and flow. And when I do not start with my morning routine, it throws off that dream life and that dream day. And so really being intentional about starting my day with God, starting my morning with gratitude before I'm looking at an email or before I'm looking at social media, really just thinking of things I'm grateful for, thanking God for another day, and then spending time pouring into myself through fitness before I start pouring into everyone else. So I want you to think about and reflect on, are you utilizing gratitude in your life right now? Are you having a morning routine that works well for you right now? These are components that have really helped me to craft my dream life, okay? Number 3 is, okay, you already know I'm going to say this, but I'm still going to say it, y'all. It's self-care and self-maintenance. That has been an important part of crafting and designing and growing my dream life is taking those self-care days, taking those and blocking those times off the calendar, schedule free days, mental wellness days. And the maintenance component of that is booking that spa day, booking that hair appointment, that nail appointment, really feeling like my best self. That has been a key part of designing and crafting my dream life. And so I want to ask you, are you incorporating regularly your self-care and your self-maintenance? And if not, could those be components that you could begin incorporating to really feed into your version of your dream life? All right, number 4 is one of my faves. I talk about this quite a bit, but I just can't leave it out. It's been a huge part of what has helped me to craft and develop my dream life, and that is boundaries. I love boundaries. I like to say I'm a boundaries queen, although that doesn't mean I'm great at boundaries. It's something I'm building a muscle in. I like to say all the time, you start doing something and it feels a little awkward, and then you do it more and more and more, and it gets easier and easier. And that is how boundaries have been for me. So having those personal boundaries, having those professional boundaries, weekends and evenings being for my family, having certain parameters on how my members can reach me and at what time and which way, and everybody just being a right fit for each other really helps a relationship to go well. Even if it's professional or personal, having boundaries in place helps people know how to treat you in a way that is mutually beneficial to us both, right? And so that has been a huge part of crafting my dream life. And I know you all might be thinking, wow, I expected this to be much more about finance and material things. It's really not. It's really, really not. Those have not been the things. Acquiring more things has not been a part of what has really helped my dream life to just be really, really enjoyable. All right, number 5, we're going deeper. So number 5 in crafting my dream life that has been really helpful to me is scheduling. All right. My friends and family, they laugh at me because they're like, Jade doesn't do anything without a calendar. She doesn't do anything without it being a reminder in her iPhone. And it has been a huge part of crafting my dream life, really being intentional with my scheduling, both professional, having everything automated and everything scheduled for my patients, to my personal life, having those date nights on the calendar weekly with my husband, having those girls' nights and ladies' nights out on the calendar monthly with my girlfriends, having a certain day of the week where I take my daughters on mommy and me events and mommy and me toddler nights, right? Having those scheduled out and being intentional helps with just having that dream life be on autopilot, where it's like it's on the calendar, it's going to happen. That way I don't look back 3 or 4 months and be like, man, when's the last time me and my husband went on a date? Man, when's the last time me and my daughters just did something fun? It's intentional. It is scheduled. So that's been a huge part of how I have crafted my dream life. And I want to ask you, are you scheduling? Are you utilizing your schedule in a way that really helps you in that area? And then number 6, the last one today, is a combo of rest, breaks, and grace. And I really like the aspect of grace. Rest and breaks to me makes sense. Many of us don't do it enough, right? Like really taking breaks and saying no and having a schedule-free, restful day and getting good sleep, right? But the grace is really a part I don't talk about enough. And that is, there are times when I'm doing great with my wellness routine, and then there's times where I'm not as consistent. There's times where I'm doing great with my nutrition, and there's times where I'm eating more unhealthy. And all of it is grace. There's times where I'm really busy with the business and it's interfering with some aspects of my family life. And then there's aspects, in chapters and sessions and seasons where I am just really in my boundaries and really thriving in those areas, right? And so it's giving myself grace. That's so important. So important to just say, you know what? This is a journey, this is a transition, and this is a season where I want to improve my nutrition. This is a season where I want to improve my wellness. This is a season where I need more breaks instead of more grind, and just giving myself grace along that journey. All of these things, gratitude, a morning routine, self-care and self-maintenance routine, boundaries, scheduling, rest, breaks, and grace, those have been things that have really helped me to craft my version of my dream life. And I hope that some of those things and sharing some of those things will be helpful to you. So I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this? I hope you enjoyed the episode. What are your thoughts on this? What did I miss? What are some things that you utilize or have utilized that is really helping you to craft your dream life? Drop a comment. I want to hear from you all. Leave the podcast a review. If you're finding any value from the podcast, drop us a review. Let us know how we're doing. Share the podcast with other busy professional women in your life. If you have a product or service-based business that busy professional women would benefit from, reach out to our team about how to sponsor an episode of the She Inspires podcast. And of course, join our social media family. We are on Instagram and YouTube at Dr. Jade MD. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you on the next episode of the She Inspires podcast.